Right, so today we pose the question, how young is too young to start smashing the weights? Because I was sent this article, and of course these articles are everywhere. 12-year-old, that's right, 12, ripped bodybuilder goes viral for dramatic physique transformation. I tell you, body transformations do the numbers. Casino, also nicknamed Mini Monster, is shocking the world with a shredded physique at just 12 years old. A Brazilian bodybuilder known as Casino is turning heads with his shredded physique at just 12 years old. They've repeated the title there. In a recent Instagram post, Casino showed off his body transformations in hopes of breaking the myth that children cannot train bodybuilding and powerlifting. 12-year-old Casino is challenging social norms with a ripped body. Following a dramatic physique transformation over the course of a year, he's sharing his progress to prove children are plenty capable of working out and achieving a killer pump. Many still have the myth that children cannot train, he said. I started 1.35 meters and today am 1.47 meters. Thank you to all the professionals who accompany me and make this process worthwhile. I mean, if he's got professionals helping him, it is going to make it easier. Gratitude to all my followers who are here to support me, so on and so forth. Then we go to the video, and yeah, on the right, he's just a 12-year-old. On the left, he's pretty jacked. There, he literally looks like a man from his lats up, which is very strange. And he is lifting. I mean, that's kind of incredible, right? He is deadlifting a lot of weight and seemingly doesn't need to worry about it at all. I mean, he has better form. I mean, that's just a proper Olympic lift, that is. He has better form than most adults that I've seen. He's got quads. He's got no coffee, no what t-shirt on, so he understands fitness already. So it's more of a CrossFit kind of thing there. It's like a muscle up, isn't it? I don't like muscle ups, and they're ridiculous. Not really. I guess you can call it many, many things. But it is genuinely impressive, and we'll get to the, the pros and cons and the ups and the downs, obviously, very, very, very soon. But I think it comes down to passion, really. As long as he's enjoying it, he's not being forced into it. Do you remember that documentary about the other kid from years ago when I don't think he wanted to do it? But yeah, I mean, for a 12-year-old, it looks better than I do. That's a weird thing to say. Then randomly, the Fitness Vault article just says, in some instances, children have recorded some impressive feats of strength. One of bodybuilding's greatest coaches, Chad Nichols, witnessed his younger son, Morgan Nichols, squat 405 pounds at 12 years old, which drew a flabbergasted reaction from Ronnie Coleman. Of course it did. Doesn't that just tie into genetics? The comments won't agree, but it does. While Casino may be pushing the boundaries of his physique, he's challenging his energy into healthy habits. Looking ahead, he hopes his story can prove that children are capable of taking part in strenuous workouts. Right, as the internet is wont to do, we poo-poo this and we're negative about it and we throw it down the toilet. But it really does come down to health and fitness. I know, boring, but it is true. Because ultimately, I would imagine there are more obese children out there than there are children that kind of look like that. Now, I'm not saying that either are good or bad. I'm just saying, if you do head down the obese route when you are younger and you are overweight, a lot of kids, the statistics are out there, a lot of kids that grow up also suffer from obesity and they suffer from being overweight. Now, look, if you want to be fat and overweight, that's totally fine. I'm not here to rag on you, but there will be a line there where you can cross over into being into an unhealthy territory, and that's when it's not fine. Now, the way I live my life, I don't know you and you don't know me, so you don't need someone shouting at you going, yeah, you're a massive fat ass. That's up for your loved ones to do, hopefully in a much nicer way than that. So if I'm friends with Steve, and I think Steve is heading in a difficult direction that is ultimately going to be bad for him, I will have a chat with Steve and I would tell him, listen, man, you're allowed to do whatever you want to do, but I'm very concerned for you, as you would with anyone that may be about to ruin their health, which is what can happen when you're fat and overweight. It's just true. Hence why it's called overweight. You're over the weight that you're meant to be. Now, there are going to be cons to this as well. Is he putting too much stress on his body at a young age? What's it doing to his bones? What's it doing to his joints and so on and so forth? What's he taking in order to look like this? But we don't know any of that information. So ultimately, as long as he is being protected and as long as he's doing it the right way and he's doing it a safe way, I don't see what the problem with this is. Because look at any kind of a sport. Let's take football or soccer for my American friends. Although, yes, when you actually do your research, it was the English people that called it soccer. So why we get so mad about it, I do not know. We're basically plucking kids now at 6 to 8 years old and putting them under quite a strenuous training program. If you go and look into it, it's why a lot of sort of would-be football players get to kind of 16, 17, 18 and they have problems with their ACLs and they have problems with their knees because they've been training for like 10 years at that point. And if you do have a rickety-dickety body, bad things can happen. But no, not many kids are going to look like this guy, right? He's obviously going to be genetically superior. He's obviously got a love and a passion for it. And in order for him to develop that, sometimes you do need to start young. Like I remember when I first started seeing my girlfriend, she was like, oh man, my cousin or someone in her family is really good at football. And I was like, well, how old is he? And he was like 18, 19. I was like, man, it's done. You know, if he does make it in there, he's going to be like a Roy the Rover story, because that just happens more and more as the scouting networks grow and as technology gets better and the world gets smaller. All of a sudden you can be looking for this kind of talent, this kind of skill at a super duper young age. So if you're going to have players on a football pitch that are being taken care of, but you're pushing them, I don't see why you can't push a kid in the gym. Like all of a sudden it came out he was doing drugs or something like that, or he's taking, I don't know, way too much protein to his age, or way too much fats, or way too much carbs, or something tangible that you could actually take and say, well, that's not going to be good for a child because they're not fully formed, then it's bad. But that's the same for anything, not just lifting weights. So why can't a 12-year-old go? Again, as long as his parents are doing his job and taking care of him. I absolutely think that you should do it. And let's face it, if he gets to sort of mid-20s and he's got the best physique ever, I'm going to be massively jealous. I didn't go into a gym until I was 16 years old. If I'd knocked those extra 4 years off, who the hell knows what I would have looked like now? Or maybe I would look back and regret it. That's why it's got to come down to the love of the game. Because if you do something with passion in your heart and fire in your belly, then it never actually feels as bad because you're doing something that you love. It's children that are pushed into things that are usually the bad thing. And you see that with soccer and football too. You see kids that clearly have all the talent in the world, but they don't apply themselves because they don't actually care. And they'd rather be playing Super Mario 64. Why you'd be playing that now, I don't know. It came out in 1996, I believe. It's still a damn good game. And of course, the thing that people always say is, oh, they'll be consuming too much protein. They'll be consuming too much protein. But again, that kind of comes down to what we've just talked about. If a kid is eating too many biscuits, well, they're consuming too much junk food. So again, balance is key here. Moderation is key. It's no different when you're an adult either. You don't want to be eating too many biscuits and you don't want to be eating too much protein. In fact, I would say the number one mistake that most people make when they do start lifting weights is they learn that protein is the key to muscle synthesis and building muscles. Like it's the blocks, your foundation. They just eat loads of it. You have a 200-pound guy that goes, well, I'm going to have 500 grams of protein a day. Like, dude, one's going to cost you a fortune. And with current prices, you don't want to do that. But two, you can eat way less, obviously reduce your calorie amount and still see the kind of growth you're looking for without, putting your body through things it doesn't need to go through. And my granddad used to be like this. My granddad used to be like, oh man, you're going to ruin your kidneys with all that protein. Like, well, not really. You're looking at it from a very specific medical point of view, but there's more to it than that. And that's why you have to think about the nuance here. Nuance is massively important. So I admit when I first see 12 years old, I'm like, man, should we do that at 12 years old? When I sat down there and let it sort of go through my brain, I was like, no. Why the hell not? If you want to deadlift at 12 years old, you want to bench press and you want to squat and you want to go to the gym and you truly love it, and again, you're eating healthy, I think that's a great example out there. You should be eating healthy as young as you can possibly do it. I also would say you want to remember that you're a child and you have all of your adult life in order to do this. I don't think many 12-year-olds watch my channel. Don't think I need to get that message out there. Oh, youth is wasted on the young. But it is true, and you only realize that when you do get a certain amount of maturity. But at the same time, you've got to take life absolutely day by day. And, if I went back to being a kid, would have I enjoyed a strict diet? I mean, I did have kind of a strict diet. It was nothing like that, but, we weren't allowed stuff like cereals or cornflakes unless it was on the weekends. And my mum would give us supplements and vitamins like omega-3, so no wonder I do it now. She shoved that into my head. And McDonald's and, food that you would consider junk was very, very rare. If they had pushed me to go to the gym, maybe I would have done. And also, I remember doing a lot of exercise when I was a kid. I played football, there was a volleyball, I was a swimmer for a while. And swimmer puts a lot of pressure, not on your joints, but on your muscles, in a good way, right? Because it's it's resistance training, because the water just provides the resistance. It's obviously better in a weight room, depending on what you're trying to achieve. So no, I actually think I'm totally cool with this. Again, I don't have all the information, but I just know a lot of people saw that one video. It's like, oh, he's only 12. What are we doing? But no, I kind of think we're looking over that. And look, I did go out and watch a few more other videos and I read a few other things, not extensively. I don't want to pretend otherwise. And this kid just seems to absolutely love it. So I think that's quite motivational. I think it's quite inspiring. Let's not start going down the what's your excuse though route. Your excuse, I know I've said this on 1,000 videos. Your excuse is allowed to be, I can't be bothered. I'm old. I got kids of my own and I'm tired. That's allowed to be your excuse. Remember, going to the gym is meant to be fun. That's what I want you to take away from this video. Going to the gym is meant to be fun. So I'm going to give it a giant tick. I'm going to give it the Simon Miller seal of approval, whatever the hell that means. And if you disagree, please let me know in the comments below. Again, there's absolutely a devil's advocate argument we can have with this because it's kind of crazy. When I stumbled across this article, again, I stumbled across it because it was doing the numbers. People are shocked by this. I suppose it's somewhat of a sensationalist headline. Also, GorillaMind.com/Simon. There's a link down there in the description. Use code Simon and you get money off 10%. They have just launched Gorilla Mind energy drinks. Now, I haven't had these yet, but I've talked to Derek at More Plates, More Dates. Also, I know the experience I've had with all of their supplements. I think these could be wonderful. Mine are on their way as I'm talking to you. I'm going to do a taste test. But not only are they good for energy, they're good for focus, and they're good for dopamine and serotonin response too, because they're in the tropic. So, we'll hold off, but I think this could be an absolute game changer. Also, if you do want to support me with money, which would be very kind, patreon.com/Simon Miller 316, Instagram, Simon 316, and Twitter as well. Merchandise, pro wrestling tees and Samson Athletics is all down there. Check them out. There's some very funny designs. Hopefully you'll enjoy wearing them. And of course, it helps me too, which I massively do appreciate. And I'm on Cameo, personalized videos. Just search for my name. A little bit of a sale on the minute. You can save some money. Happens automatically. Would love to do that for you, should you so want it. Otherwise, have a great training session and let me know about this. I'll be very intrigued to hear your thoughts. See you soon.